Hi everyone. Now this is for my students of architecture. Others can kind of scroll down. Maybe you can hit the like. Yeah. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. You know, I had been practicing as an architect for the past 2 decades across India and abroad. With my hands-on experience in designing and building numerous projects, I've gained some real-life insight which I keep sharing with my students of architecture. Well, today let's talk about the vernacular wooden architectural styles of Ladakh. We all know that India is a vast country, from cold areas in the Himalayas to the Great Thar Desert in the western India, from the plain of the Ganges River basin in the north to the tropical rainforests in the south. Its extent has a very few match in the whole world, displaying varied climatic features. Moreover, India is a country that has a long history of over 10,000 years, which has produced a wide array of architecture, from the ancient alien times to the present day. Reflecting those vast scale and diversity, India evolved as a large variety in its architecture, leaving a great number of architectural legacies around the country. Among them, ancient megalithic caves and intricate stone-cut constructions, monumental stone temples full of sacred sculptures, and mausoleums in the stage of early modern culture astonish our eyes over and over again. I had published a very detailed article on this particular topic. Go back to my page and check it out sometime, yeah? Although there are like 16 cultural heritage sites in India that have been registered to the UNESCO World Heritage Site, there are numerous others as well. However, all of them are stone buildings and equivalents. There is barely any wooden structure in the recorded history of architecture of India. There remains in India not barely any wooden building from the ancient and the medieval period, probably because wood easily rots away or probably burns. Therefore, most wooden buildings that are left are generally from the early modern times. Let me tell you, had it been the case that if anything older was considered in our documented history, wooden architecture of India would have been far superior or at least at par with the quality stone architecture anywhere in the world. Talking about the Himalayas, which is blessed with more plentiful timber resources, is a mountainous region that continues from the northernmost state of Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir to Nepal, Sikkim, and Bhutan. Though these areas have mutual relations, they have each been nourished with their own flavor of architectural traditions based on their own history of that particular region, the people, and the soil and the culture. As for the northern India, it can be divided into probably like three areas. The Ladakh region at the highest altitude belongs to the Tibetan Buddhist sphere. The western neighboring region, Kashmir, is in the Islamic sphere, and the southern neighboring Himalayan mountainous region mainly practiced Hinduism. As the architectural differences between them are quite interesting, let's deal with the Ladakh region today. The Ladakh region is administered by the India as a union territory and constituting a part of the larger region of Kashmir, which has been the subject of dispute between India, Pakistan, and China since 1947. The Ladakh region is located near the Chinese border and has long been closed to the outside world. Transportation from the Indian plain to the region was also not easy, since its altitude is from like 3,000 to 4,000 above sea level. The main route between the city of Srinagar, the closest populous city in Kashmir, and that of Leh in Ladakh is shut by snow during winter, being passable only from like June to September. Yeah. Such isolation also nurtured a quite different kind of a culture in Ladakh than that of any other plain in the Indian region. Architecture and religion, or to be very precise, the spirituality, the spiritual flavor of inherent architecture in its deeper sense are intertwined in many ways and in ways never before was clearer to our modern civilizations than it is now. We see in this region that people embraced Buddhist faith, specifically that Tantric Buddhism, having erected many architecturally wonderful gompas or monasteries at various places across this region. When the Tibetan mainland was occupied by China and the living Buddha, the Dalai Lama, exiled himself to Dharamshala, India, and a great number of temples were destroyed through a great cultural revolution, it is believed that the core traditional Tibetan architecture and culture has been still conserved within the heart of Ladakh, much better than anywhere else in the world. The Ladakh region became open to the foreigners sometimes in the year 1947. Architecturally marvelous monasteries in the unexplored areas and the tantric wall paintings were soon brought to the fore. But even today, very little architectural research has been accomplished in this particular region, and neither was a complete physical survey of all those temples, the structures, and monasteries, and so on were done properly. You know, as the average altitude of Ladakh region, also called Western Tibet, is almost the same as that of Mount Fuji. The mountainous was, but this range was particularly bare of any vegetation, looking more like a desert. However, there is a mountain stream and a narrow green basin forming the upper reaches of the Indus River. Floors and roofs are made of mud treated on wooden boards. Roofs are basically flat, being unnecessary to waterproof since it scarcely ever rains. Yeah? Beams are directly set from wall to wall across smaller rooms, but columns are needed midway across larger spans because of the difficulty of getting thick timber for beams. In a vast room, such as that was a like a congregational prayer hall or something like that, as in a gompa, columns stand together in large number. Yeah? The standard span is like around 3 meters or so. Yeah? Talking about architecture, in a traditional folk house, the ground floor is usually used for stables, and the first floor is for family rooms, such as sitting room, a kitchen, bedrooms, and a Buddhist altar room. A larger house often consists of like 3 floors. Let me tell you, the main timber is usually poplar, and thinner timber over them is branches of willow. Poplar logs are used as untreated for rural houses, but are often sought for use in palaces and gompas, like the palatial structures, the important structures. It was treated with delicate carvings, brilliantly painted, maybe on capitals and bases of columns. Epitome of architectural aesthetics can be found here. Yeah? The Gompa that retains the earliest form of ancient wooden architecture is the Alchi Gompa, located 66 kilometers west of Leh. In this particular temple, though each is in small in scale, there are in line 5 shrines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, built from the 11th to the 13th centuries, adding many far later shrines or chotans or stupas, leaving very little open space in between. It somewhat shows like in a lack of a master planning, but still it is as it is. Yeah, architecturally, the most interesting one is the three-floored shrine. It has niches protruding on three sides of the 7 square meter core of the Chotan, enshrining the high statues of three bodhisattvas. There are 4 columns inside and 2 in the porch, and they are tied with beams. In the center of the interior stands a stupa, over which is a high space of 3 floors. Hence, the name of the building, some state, three-floored shrine. The more dazzling elements are brilliant wall paintings executed without leaving a blank space. It is so intricately detailed. It is a treasure house of tantric Buddhist art and architecture with 6 large mandalas. The most interesting architectural feature is the wooden structure of the porch and its carvings. That of the first floor consists of 2 sections, the upper of which is divided by 2 columns, accompanied with sub-columns at both sides. At the center of each beam is a Buddha statue, surrounded with a tri-lobed arch and an outer triangle, if you know what I mean. Such features were apparently influenced by the art and architecture of Kashmir and its neighboring lands. The Kashmir region was influenced by the civilization brought by Alexander the Great to Gandhara in the 4th century BC. This currently is also reflected in Ladakh, transcending the gap of ages and the differences of religions. As the thumbstick in Alchi, columns have Greek flution and their capitals are carved with intricate, iconic, or ionic. At the thumbstick in Alchi, columns have Greek flution and the capitals and curved is in iconic style swirls. It displays more evidently the track of the propagation of a civilization more so than any other sites. Sadly, as the study of the history of Indian architecture has almost exclusively directed towards stone architecture and cave temples, Indian wooden architecture cannot be said to have been sufficiently researched. Worse enough, recent mindless urbanization has led to a tendency to demolish traditional wooden houses, replacing them with concrete boxes. Architects like us are probably partly responsible for this, which is pretty sad, destroying the traditional architectural flavor of the rural landscapes. Though wooden architecture was the mainstream in ancient India due to abundant wooden structures in olden times, Monumental buildings came to the construction of stone, acquisition of land, increase in the tree, decrease through the Middle Ages. No wonder it is not well known that there are also wooden structures and cultures reflected throughout various states and various across various regions of India, since tourists in India are generally guided towards stone buildings and cave temples. Having said all of that, I strongly believe that there is a lot to learn, and an architect will always be a student constantly learning, because there is no end to learning. Let's start discussing your thoughts on this particular topic. Comment in the box below. I'll get back to you. See you.